If you're a squad leader in the Arch Alliance, you'll also want to configure a shout/whisper hotkey. In order to do this, click Configure at the top of Mumble and go to Settings. Under the Mumble configuration window, go to the Shortcuts tab, and similar to a push-to-talk key, we are going to want to add a function for whispers/shouts. So select Add at the bottom, and under Unassigned, you want to scroll down to Whisper/shout. After you've selected Whisper/shout, pick a shortcut that works well for you. In this case, I'm clicking button 4. It's important to have this be a different button than your push-to-talk key so that you can still talk to the people in your channel, but also shout to people in other channels for important information. I also like to suppress this key so that it won't trigger any functions in other programs while you have Mumble open. Now that you have your shortcut keys set up, under Data, select Empty, and you'll see an ellipsis appear to the right of Empty. Select the ellipsis, and a window will open to configure who your whispers and shouts will go to. By default, it's set to whisper to a list of users. You'll have a drop down on the right for current users of the Mumble channel. In this instance, we're going to select Aftermath and select Add, and then click OK. And now whenever I press button 4, my communication will go directly to anyone that I have in that list, in this case, Aftermath. Typically, you will also want the ability to shout to other channels. For this, select the ellipsis again, and rather than whisper a list of users, select Shout to Channel. You want to collapse the root directory here. We're not going to be using that for our purposes, and then expand the Awful Company parent. Underneath Awful Company, you'll see a list of current channels and subchannels. And for the ability to shout to the Squads subchannel, I'm going to go ahead and select Squads, and then check Shout to Subchannels. Shouting to subchannels will make sure that my whisper goes to any of the subchannels underneath Squads at the same time, and not just the one that I'm in. We'll then select OK. And whenever I press mouse button 4 now, my whispers and shouts will go to the entire subdirectory of squad channels. Lastly, we are going to select the ellipsis again and look at the whisper target window. For very specific things where you want to be able to communicate to the entire server at once, rather than selecting squads, select Awful Company and again shout to subchannels and click OK. This communication, when I press mouse button 4, will go to absolutely everyone in the Mumble server at the same time. This should be reserved particularly for guild leaders or very important information and should not be used excessively. Please do not use this function to chat amongst yourselves. It is just for Alliance operations. So typically speaking, you should have a subdirectory selected of channels that you typically shout to. In my case, it's often squads, so I have my whisper set to squads, shout to subchannels, OK. And mouse button 4 will now shout my communication to all squad channels. Click OK, and you're now set up as a squad leader in Mumble.